Charles Cotton, born in 1630 in Staffordshire, was an English poet and writer, and is known for his contributions to The Complete Angler, a book which celebrates the wonders of fishing and nature through both prose and verse. He also kept a circle of highly esteemed acquaintances, which included writers such as Ben Jonson, Isaac Walton, John Donne, Richard Lovelace, and Lord Clarendon. Cotton was an unwavering supporter of the crown, and he maintained his royalist stance even through Cromwellian rule. His consistent sentiments are evident in his pre-Restoration poetry. In On the Lord Derby, the speaker expresses his sorrow at the loss of Lord Derby's life to irreligious power. By Lord Derby, Cotton was referring to James Stanley, who was captured and executed on the 15th of October 1651 after the Royalist defeat at the Battle of Worcester. In The Litany, he uses the popular mock form to viciously attack Cromwell by calling him the prince that rules by all, whose tyrannic wills his law. Moreover, Cotton harshly criticised Edmund Waller, who wrote a panegyric to my Lord Protector for Oliver Cromwell, and called him a vile poet. Naturally, Cotton heralded the return of Charles II in 1660 in standard fashion, writing a panegyric to the King's most excellent majesty, in which he celebrates how the new monarch will, quote, secure his subjects at home and enlarge his dominions abroad, repay injuries, reward friendships, and shake foreign sceptres, as well as defend his own. What is clear so far is Cotton's steadfast conviction in the monarchy, which encourages us to question another of his notable works titled Scaranides. This was written around 1664 and is a travesty of books 1 and 4 from Virgil's Aeneid. Scaranides was very popular and successful, going through 3 separate editions in its first year, and Samuel Pepys described Book 1 as being extraordinarily good. Once Book 4 was published the following year, the first edition of the 2 books combined was issued in 1666, and 12 further editions of both books were printed between the years 1667 and 1807. It is surprising that such a staunch royalist would mock a Virgilian text. Virgil's Aeneid was usually invoked by other royalist writers who wanted to compare the return of the wandering hero Aeneas with Charles II himself, and they used it to express hope for a renewed and glorious country. There was at this time a Europe-wide trend for travesties of the Aeneid, which had started in Italy with Giambattista Lilli's L'Aeneid Travestita, translated to Aeneid in Disguise, and had spread to France with Paul Scarron's immensely popular Virgile Travesti. Cotton probably encountered this on his trip to the country with his tutor and friend Ralph Rawson in 1655. Following Cotton's own Scaranides, meaning son of Scarron, the trend quickly spread in England itself and led to many imitations, including those by R. Monsey, John Phillips, Morris Atkins, and John Smith. Hope for a new, grand, and heroic England corresponded with the return of Charles II in 1660. So why is it that these very ideals, present in the Aeneid, were outwardly scorned, and by a royalist, no less? There is a vast amount of material that can be explored in depth to approach answering this question, but due to time constraints, we will delve into a couple of examples and see what motives and meanings we can discover. In Scaranides, Aeneas is closer to being a blundering fool than a hero, and the grave Roman mission is far from glorious, as its significance and presence is almost lost within a sea of vulgar language, mocking images, and caricatures. If you take a look at the photo provided, you can see that from the very beginning, Cotton changes Virgil's famous opening lines, I sing of arms and the man, to I sing the man, read it who list, a Trojan true as ever pissed. What is more interesting, however, is that Cotton provides footnotes for his readers to allow comparison between his version and the Latin original, Arma virumque cano. The fact that he includes Latin quotations does not necessarily imply that his readership was directed towards those educated in classical languages. Henry Power comments that the presence of Virgil's Latin is more important than its meaning. The Latin seems to act as a reminder of a glorious, celebrated, and epic past, a past which the current, present, and monarchy has not yet achieved, but should still be seen as a possible future. Virgil is known for his use of epic similes. A famous example can be found in Book 4, where the deep-rooted strength and steadfastness of an oak tree is compared to Aeneas' unflinching willpower in the face of Anna's pleas, who is begging Aeneas to stay in Carthage on behalf of her distraught sister Dido. This simile was particularly important to royalists at the time because the oak tree was associated with Charles II. Charles II concealed himself in an oak tree in Boscobel Wood to avoid capture and to survive, and the tree therefore became a symbol of the continuation of the monarchy. However, Cotton subverts this almost mythical symbolism behind the tree in Scaronides, as he goes as far as to completely replace Virgil's oak tree simile with hemp. His resolution still opposes. He would go spite of all their noses, and like to hemp, which, as I take it, the more you twist, the stronger make it. It would have been difficult for most of Cotton's readers to disregard such a blatant change from the original, especially seeing as mentioned before, Cotton intended comparison through the footnotes he himself supplied. The total lack of regard for the grandeur symbolized by the oak tree is, of course, funny, but I believe that Cotton chose hemp for a more serious and specific reason. Hemp was used to make sail canvas, and more significantly, rope, and this links neatly with another major change Cotton includes at the end of Book 4. Aeneas' hemp-like stubbornness causes Dido to kill herself with rope rather than a sword like in the original Aeneid. But looking up and seeing the rope tied to the beam in the chamber top, with neat alluring noose, her sick grace even longed to wear it for a necklace, and in that circle of conclusion she pricked the point of resolution. Although beheading was the norm for nobles in the 17th century, as it was believed to be the most honourable and mildest form of execution, Cotton changes the story so that Dido commits suicide through hanging rather than dying by the sword of Aeneas. Dido is therefore deprived of her royal pride, and this, through the symbolism of hemp and the rope, is linked directly back to Aeneas' refusal to yield to the pleas around him. In the original, Dido's death and the fall of Carthage is shown to be primarily caused by the Roman mission, but in Scaronides it is shown to be primarily caused by Aeneas' stubbornness. The change from royal and hopeful oak to stubborn and fatal hemp, which leads to the fall of a monarch and her country, seems to highlight Cotton's disenchantment with the new royal regime. If Cotton's Aeneas is Charles II, England is doomed to fall because of his obstinacy and ridiculous nature. In the short examples we have seen, Cotton clearly expresses criticism, carefully veiled by absurd and exaggerated humour, of Charles II and his extravagant and uncontrolled reign. However, Cotton's decision to parody Book 4 and not continue with any other books of the Aeneid allows his reader to create a future for themselves and build their own Rome from the literary ashes of Dido and her Carthage. Cotton therefore seems to still cling on to a hope that a successful monarchy and country will someday arrive.